Kuzang, and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program. I'm Tandin Finso. Our top stories this week: His Majesty the King granted ceremonial scarf to the new Attorney General, the new Secretary General of the National Assembly, the new Works and Human Settlement Secretary, and the new Economic Affairs Secretary. The people of Merak welcomed His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gilsin to Merak with excitement and joy. And Finance Minister Namge Doji, while presenting the National Budget Report, said the total resource for the financial year 2015-2016 is estimated to be about 41 billion ngutum. His Majesty the King granted ceremonial scarf to the new Attorney General Cheryl Hendup, the new Secretary General of the National Assembly Sange Duba, the new Works and Human Settlement Secretary Phunso Wangdi, and the new Economic Affairs Secretary Dashoishe Wangdi. In accordance with the Constitution, His Majesty the King appoints secretaries to the government, the Attorney General and the Secretary General of the National Assembly on the recommendation of the Prime Minister and the Royal Civil Service Commission.
Dashoishe Wangdi is appointed as the new Economic Affairs Secretary. He was working as the Director General of Department of Hydropower and Power Systems under the same ministry. Dashoishe Wangdi is from Mongar and has a master's degree in electrical engineering. He joined civil service in 1984. The new Works and Human Settlement Secretary is Phunso Wangdi. Prior to his current appointment, he served as the Director General of Bhutan Standards Bureau. 57-year-old is from Tashkent with the Bhutan Standards Bureau since 2012. Former Teshansi Zonda, Sange Duba, is the new Secretary General of the National Assembly. He was appointed as Teshansi Zonda in 2010. Sange Duba joined the civil service in 1989 as an agriculture research officer. He has Masters in Agriculture from Philippines. And Cheryl Hendup takes over as the new Attorney General. He joined the judiciary in 1991. He has a Master's of Laws from the US. He resigned in 2009 after serving as the judge in Wandipoda. He then started a private law firm before being appointed as the Attorney General. Sharab Zangmo for PBS News.
The people of Merak welcomed His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gilsin to Merak with excitement and joy. This is His Majesty's first historic visit to Merak in Tashigang.
His Majesty the King, accompanied by Her Majesty the Gilsin, reached Merak yesterday evening. Hundreds of locals in Merak received their Majesties. The Majesties are on a royal visit to Merak and Sakten. This morning, their Majesties visited the Merak Samtan Pelin Lhaka and offered prayers. The Majesties then spent the entire day with the people who had gathered at Merak Primary School. Later, His Majesty granted Tokha to hundreds of people and interacted with them. Through a lucky draw, His Majesty granted seras to the people. Essential items like television, chainsaw, milk churner, mobile phones, greenhouse, tents, water boilers, rice and curry cookers were granted as seras. Merak residents said they are extremely happy and blessed to receive their Majesties in their village and receive an audience. People said their Majesties' visit to their village is a dream come true. Meanwhile, the Kidu mobile unit, which accompanies His Majesty to some of the most inaccessible parts of the country to treat patients, set up a medical camp there. There are over 250 households with over 2,300 people in Merak Gyeok. Yesterday, thousands of people lined up along the highway to greet their king and queen. The Majesties are accompanied by His Royal Highness Getsap Jimidoji Wangchuk. The Majesties will visit Sakhtang later this week.
His Majesty granted an audience to the students and teachers of Merak Primary School. His Majesty advised the students to study hard and make the best use of their knowledge. His Majesty granted Sera to the students. Merak Primary School has 147 students with 7 teachers.
In honor of their Majesty's visit to their village, people of Merak offered yaks, sheep, horses and dogs as bilwa to their Majesties. His Majesty expressed appreciation to the people for the offering and returned the animals to the community. His Majesty granted lunch to the villagers and visited homes in Merak village later in the afternoon. Many people whom BBS spoke to were jubilant as they host their Majesties in their village for the first time. People said it is a rare lifetime opportunity to receive their Majesties in their own village.
sim ganina garebe inara tamashiba yasis shunibe ila te dangba da to dugel dangachi ki dangbale utu degi da dugel ngapagi na shap cha name dilo de nam sami karin si shunibe ila te da ngachi ki myonga da rembo che da gelzun te hanibe jemedi yan nilamna ina yan da garebe inara lab mashipji anibe yasis shunibe ila de nam sami sim gais shunila
nam sami sim gasong shumila tai myonga da rem chineral pin ting jinjingi pama kiruki pama ta oljontin mi yemchung kimse megin kimse nangos kiru nangos sung tin jamro megin jamro kiru nangos sung namisami simgai songla shimin.
Yesterday, Their Majesties visited Gengu village and visited the Lhaka and almost every homes of the people. Gengu village has 40 households and is located around 15 minutes downhill from Merak village. Their Majesties will also travel to Saktengeok, accessible through a mountain pass from Merak. Their Majesties are accompanied by His Royal Highness Gyaltsab Jigme Dorje Wangchuk and Aji Tsolhamo. Compiled for Pema Namge in Merak, Sonam Rinchen for BBS News.
Her Majesty, the Queen Mother Sangye Choden Wangchuk, graced the consecration of the 21 Taras or Deman Nishu Tsachi Thonde in Phangli Zamba. The Thonde was unfurled at the Taral Hadin Shingam Hakang and was consecrated by Venerable Dojlibe. The Thonde, which took about a year to complete, is 36 feet wide and 26 feet tall. It is made of Thai silk. The consecration of the Thonde is dedicated to the long life of His Majesty the 4th Drugyalpo. The Thonde will be unfurled every year on the 15th day of the 4th Bhutanese month at the Haka. The Prime Minister inaugurated 2 farm roads and visited irrigation channel projects in Samtsi. He was accompanied by the Ministers for Agriculture and Information and Communications, along with members of Parliament from Samtsi.
Prime Minister Tsering Topge on Saturday inaugurated a 5-kilometer Tsa Jinsa farm road of Pemalingyok. The road, which cost about 2 million nutrum, was built through the Gyeok Development Grant. Luncheon also made an unscheduled stop to ride a spider machine, which has been provided by the government. This machine helps to level the topography of paddy fields so that next month, when the Gyeok is provided with the power tiller, farmers would be able to use it. In the afternoon, the entourage made a visit to coffee plantation site in Tashichulin Gyeok. This was followed with a site visit to Jiti lift irrigation construction. Under Sanga Chulingyok, the Prime Minister inaugurated a 5-kilometer Kangzangling farm road that was also built with Gyeok Development Grant. Following the farm road inauguration, the Prime Minister also made a visit to Kuchidayana irrigation channel construction site under Yosultse Gyeok. On Sunday, the Prime Minister and his entourage visited the Samtsi Shivalaya Mandir construction site, a project of His Majesty the King dedicated to the 60th anniversary of His Majesty the 4th Drugyalpo, and also a gift to the Hindu community from His Majesty the King. It was followed with a brief visit to Jersey Breeding Center before heading to Tadingyok for formal groundbreaking ceremony of Sherabling Buka Farm Road. Compiled for Sonapunso and Samsi, Shori Gurung, BBS News.
The total resource for the financial year 2015-2016 is estimated to be about 41 billion Newton. This was revealed by the Finance Minister Namgye Dorji while presenting the National Budget Report in the National Assembly.
The government will be able to finance around 2.2 billion Newton of its capital expenditure from its domestic revenue. After meeting its current expenditure, the government will be left with 2.2 billion Newton that can be utilized in capital expenses. The Constitution mandates all recurrent expenses to be financed through domestic revenue. Of the total budget outlay of 41 billion Newton, domestic revenue constitutes 26 billion Newton and an external grant of close to 15 billion Newton. As per the report, the domestic revenue is expected to increase by 5% over the previous year. The increase is mainly expected from the corporate income tax and dividends generated from the Dagachu hydropower plant, Bhutan Power Corporation, and from the expected surplus transfer of 200 million Newton from the Royal Monetary Authority. However, the report reflects that the growth may be affected if Dungsam Cement Corporation continues to incur loss. The report also reflects an estimation of 33% increase in the external grant. The Government of India remains the largest development partner, providing a grant of over 11 billion Newton, representing about 76% of the total grant. While the estimated external borrowing is projected to over 3 billion Newton, of which over 1 billion Newton is from the Asian Development Bank for the project-tied assistance. From the projected budget outlay, the general public services sector will receive the highest allocation of over 9 billion Newton, which constitutes over 19% of the total projection. Education sector will receive the second highest allocation of 18%. The budget report will be deliberated on the 8th and 9th of June after the Finance Committee reviews the report. Compiled for Sherab Zangmo, Sonam Rinchen for BBS News.
The country's fiscal deficit has increased by almost 2 billion Newton for the next fiscal year. Fiscal deficit is the difference between total expenditure and total revenue, excluding borrowings.
According to the budget, fiscal deficit increased from 2.8 billion Newton to 4.4 billion Newton for the next 2015 and 2016 fiscal. This is the amount the government has to source from domestic and international banks. This means the government will continue to mobilize concessional loans from multilateral financial institutions, issue treasury bills and long-term bonds in the domestic market. The budget for the next fiscal year is 45.5 billion Newton, which is 24% of the total budget of the 11th five-year plan. The increase in the fiscal deficit is due to several new initiatives of the government, such as establishment of central schools, double laning of east-west highway, introduction of helicopter services and distribution of power tillers. However, fiscal deficit is expected to improve. The budget report mentions it can be done through efficient expenditure management and resource mobilization strategy. The report also mentions that financing 85% of the total expenditure through domestic revenue would be challenging, with the delay in commissioning of hydropower projects. Revenue growth may also be affected should Dungsam Cement Corporation continue to incur losses, as it would not be able to pay its taxes and dividends to the government. Nirup Gelson for BBS News.
The National Council members unanimously decided that members, commissioners and constitutional post holders should resign from previous office before joining the constitutional offices as reflected in the Entitlement and Service Conditions Act for the holders, members and commissioners of constitutional offices of Bhutan 2010. They rejected the amendment made by National Assembly, which said that only the constitutional post holders should resign from their previous office.
The Finance Minister presented the Entitlement and Service Conditions Act for the holders, members and the commissioners of the constitutional offices of Bhutan Amendment Bill 2014. The Finance Minister said it was just one clause which was amended. The National Assembly endorsed that members and commissioners need not resign, but post holders should resign. The Finance Minister said the amendment was made mainly to retain competent people in the civil service. For instance, members and commissioners, after serving in the constitutional offices, have to resign at a young age when they could still serve in the civil service for many years. The National Council members asked whether public consultations were held to amend the Act. They also questioned whether members and commissioners will be able to carry out the duty as mandated without resigning from their previous office. The Finance Minister said they did not get enough time to hold public consultations.
곰슈베 니인데 사시나 때 가테 존니 미버진 때 다리 ngaji khatule bewajin 다리 chala namdalu 가데베 나수가세 롱가기 잡래 때 고갑 톱니기 된로 때 dumdaji 때 체능 박섬로 때 박섬드수 렌 데렌 때 다리 슝 베르테 때 디구 잡 현신아베 때 롱가기 잡래 때 코랄로 팀이 렌는 코랄로 고갑 톱니기 된래 때 슝기 차라 남달로 디소야 가데베 탑디도도 가데베 태용가송 ngajigi디 때 고와디 데벨렌도 세슈니라.
The chairman of the Council's Legislative Committee presented the review and recommendations on the bill. He said consultations were held with the constitutional offices except the judiciary.
내둔디 때gelung 속두나령음다 내둔 가치라 베디베로 때 스카랑아치 semkhajak digibe 때 자지베우달로 때 담바 사팀챙기 두소 지다치 강아치 두튼 tilchenbe 베이 때 단템 렌데기디 마베미디 때때수 제위 때수기 자고다 차튼디 때 단템 렌데기 체토다 윤토기 장변다 팀치 부티나 위디베로 자팀챙기 권에 참이 인디베로 때수기 자팀 소소에 블레텐디.
As per the recommendations made by the committee, the House unanimously agreed to retain the clause as in the Act, which says the holder, members and commissioners should resign before joining the constitutional offices. The House also inserted a new section which says that a constitutional post holder shall not be eligible for reappointment, while a member or a commissioner may be reappointed for a maximum of 2 terms. The committee also proposed another section to provide a compensation package to those who complete their tenure before the superannuation age. But most members disagreed.
담지기 중은 남섬에 두루 옆좀 중 춥지 고베스 놓고 담말라. 니버 세우달로 당아체기 서팀기 차내기 고내 참내기 된달로 팀지 톱탕기 팀지라 소소베서 오시나 팔레로 십주나 중원제베로 십시행하나 원제베로 콩 나오면 걸레 고내 고사에 빈디 떨럽다 톱탕디 소에 빈디 가리다 디스는 거기 다음에 가라 차산비 빈디요 발라.
롱가기 잘레 주르 위르다 메르다 때다티나로로 주르비 때 차례심에 슈팅서 봐진 니 버디 나니기 고가 보메라도 때 디메 마진 땡가 지기 다티나로 톱체스 뿌라 징고서달래 다 주르메 미디 때다 롱가기 잘레티나 짜토 주마서 봐진 땡가 지중기 카들레티나로 람슈스 마투 베자베단로 때 주르베 장수베르 지고 보라.
The House endorsed the bill after removing the new section on the compensation package. The bill will now go back to the National Assembly to be deliberated again during this session. Sharab Zangmo for PBS News.
The National Council said the number of Sokpas in the Gyeoks, Zongkoks and constituencies during election should be minimized. Some of the members pointed out that it caused disharmony in a small society like ours.
The National Council discussed that the number of Sokpas be clearly stated in the rule, including their mandates.
Tani sedin sokpagi timi maamle tendigi bete lu damena so labde bodalo miseberura sogin sumidi su gothum zomidara ngomadira te sokpagi chankama te sokpagi lu damela sa labbe bodalo te mise sogin subdalo tabdi umadu debe jumesuigi te lujudisu ngachirigi demkor takuna pha tendi
때 조지나로 이 체질에게 미바지 되나 이선하기 공부가라 속바치기 뒤메베 때 도쿄베다 바진 때답마돌라샤 도스슈니
때 교옥다 디나트니레 뎀콩다 종카나 요바진 투베 때 지옥날레 때메간레 핀체다 핀차 침체다 침세이 바나 답마디오 템메시
미귤디 디 레제버 디수 장카마 팝니 디기 베도발라 디 마한 답달루 tab madu themesemi te da chiok na chense kosha bedi beruya digi manda bigi tangsu mijoga yanchin digi thibbe tionga te yanchin de ati man dani me da demkong goden pa dindu chongha dindu gioki goden pa sosobera du da gioki leje pa chi so da anichi ki thibe se wachin dia thujinang go bigi sa go chi du se.
The discussion on provisions for election rules, regulations, guidelines and handbooks will continue tomorrow. Other issues like the provision of postal ballot for the Highlanders, unnecessary expenditure on the banners during election and the need to attest the qualification of the candidates by the Royal University of Bhutan were also discussed. Shauri Gurung, BBS News.
The Bhutan Agriculture and Food Regulatory Authority has sent samples of Maggi noodles to Thailand after Indian media reported that it contained high amount of lead and monosodium glutamate. Monosodium glutamate is a flavor enhancer used in many processed food.
The noodle samples are also being tested at the National Food Testing Laboratory in Yusipang since yesterday. Jamyang Phunso from the Bhutan Agriculture and Food Regulatory Authority said they are testing the samples here to compare the results. The dietitian at the National Referral Hospital said that monosodium glutamate or MSG is a taste enhancer contained in most of the processed food including Maggi, which is not good for health.
When we consume food products which have more MSG content, then what happens is we doesn't know whether we are full satisfied with the food products. So then what happens is we don't feel satisfaction, right? Then we go on eating. Our eating habit it doesn't stop. Then this can ultimately lead to obesity, which will result in many other cardiovascular diseases as well as non-communicable diseases.
According to Indian media, food inspectors have asked Nestle India, the manufacturer of Maggi noodles, to recall a batch of its product from the shops in Uttar Pradesh. However, Bafra said they cannot do so until the results are out. The test results will be out by this week. If results are positive, the products would be recalled or banned. With cameraman Sring Tenduk, Dikil Hamo for BBS News.
That's all we have for you this week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.